Welcome to class. Very excited to welcome you to another edition of our virtual class from the More Leadership Academy. On today's edition of our class, we'll be taking you on reward and motivation. The intendment or the objective of this class is to introduce leaders to how to get the most or the best from their team or followers or workers through an effective utilization of the tool of reward. Recent research reveals that there has been an increase in worker apathy, or that a lot of workers or followers are not really interested in the work that they do. And if they even do it at all, they principally follow the transactional pattern of working, where they simply give what they are being asked to do without any discretionary input towards their task to guarantee productivity. Further research has revealed that this is principally related or due to an ineffective utilization of the instrument of reward by the leaders or their managers or their bosses, or sometimes a faulty reward system. Now, what is reward? The Webster Dictionary of Contemporary English defines reward as something that is given in return for good or evil done, or received or given for some service or attainment. By this definition, for you to be rewarded, it would mean that you've done something good or you've done something evil. And it would mean that you are rewarded for a service that you've rendered, or for an attainment or something that you have accomplished. But they also took a psychological approach towards the definition of reward when they define reward as a stimulus, such as food, that is administered to an organism and serves to reinforce a desired response. Now, what this would mean is that reward has an end, it has a goal. So when they administer reward to you, it would mean that they want to reinforce a desired response. That would mean that there is something that you have done, and because the organization or the leader appreciate what you've done, you are rewarded for it, so that you can repeat that thing that you've done that earned you the reward. Now, these are principally the two definitions of reward that we are going to be working with in this particular class. Now, there are types of reward. Reward could be monetary or payment based. Reward could be in form of recognition or promotion, and reward could also come in form of benefits or privileges. Now, the first typology of reward, therefore, for the purpose of this class, is monetary or payment-based reward. Now, this principally looks at a situation where a worker or a follower is paid when he does the job. Is paid when he does something well. Is appreciated with money when he gets the job done. So what is administered here, going back to the definition we gave as a stimulus, is money or some other form of payment, because it doesn't always have to be money. It could be gold, it could be anything of substance given as a form of payment. Now, I've also talked about recognition or promotion as a typology of reward. Now, when somebody is recognized for doing something well, when somebody is recognized for his input towards the productivity of an organization, it also serves as a stimulus and is also a reward. Now, this recognition can be sometimes by presentation of awards. It could also come by a promotion, as it were, at the workplace. When somebody has done something well and you say well done by recognition, you give an award, you give a medal, or sometimes you promote them. It serves as a stimulus for them to keep doing well, for them to keep, bringing what they bring to the table that guarantees the growth or the productivity of the team. And of course, I also talked about privilege or benefit. Now, this is also a typology of reward. When someone has done well or a team has delivered, reward can come through granting them certain privileges or granting them certain benefits. It could be a health benefit, it could be welfare benefit, it could even be some day offs. When somebody gives his all in a particular week, and then you have seen that this particular person has done more than every other person, you can give them off, you can give them leave, such that they appreciate the fact that you as the leader are actually seeing what they do. And of course, Reward could simply be verbal appreciations of a well done, I see you, thank you, I notice all the contributions you've brought to the team. Now, these are the several typologies of reward, which, as defined by Merriam-Webster, serves as a stimulus that aims at reinforcing a desired outcome. But what we are really going to be looking at today in the next few minutes before we wrap up this particular video is how can a leader now effectively utilize this tool of reward to be able to get greater productivity and efficiency from his team. Please note that giving reward in itself is not a guarantee that the team would do better. It is not even a guarantee that when leaders, appreciate people, that the team productivity would increase. Now, that is to say that there is a how that rewards are meant to be effectively utilized. And I'm going to give you just 5 ways to effectively utilize the tool of reward for you to be able to increase the efficiency and the productivity of your team. Number 1 is that the leader should be person-specific in the administration of reward. Be person-specific in the administration of reward. Now, what do I mean by this? Like the transformational leadership theory would say that a leader is supposed to consider the desires, the aspirations, and the needs of each of the followers or each of the workers in the process of administering the reward. Take, for instance, we have given you typologies of reward. One is monetary, one is recognition. I've said it could be verbal, and I've also mentioned, as a matter of fact, that it could be benefits or privileges. Now, what I mean by be person-specific here is that as a leader, you want to know who you are rewarding, and you want to know what kind of reward, what typology of reward works for this particular person. Now, there are people whose interest is not necessarily money on your team. There are people who want recognition. There are also people who don't need money but need promotion. There are people who need benefit. There are people whose principal problems around your work area is that they work so much that they do not have time for their families. So if you gave them leave of 2 months, they would prefer it to an additional salary of 2,000 naira or some out-of-pocket appreciation for what they have done. So you want to know who you are rewarding and reward the person in the typology of reward that best suits the person's aspirations or desires or need. Number 2, you must be strategic and not emotional in your administration of the instrument of reward. Now, what do I mean by be strategic and not emotional? This covers the how, the when, and the what principles in administration of reward. The how. How do you give the reward? Do you simply just call a meeting and call all workers, and in the meeting of workers you say, Mr. A has done well, so I have rewarded him with a brand new car? Now, if that is what you do every time, it may be okay. But if you do so simply because it is person A, what you'll be evoking in your team will be unhealthy competition and not an increase in efficiency or productivity. Now, the when also matters. Deferred gratification, deferred appreciation, delayed reward may not really be effective. A situation where somebody does something right today and you do not say thank you, you do not appreciate the person until the next time that you want the person to do the thing right again, you now go to appreciate the person. That is not an effective use of reward. That is in fact usury. Now, when the person realizes that you only say thank you when you need them, that you never say thank you when you do not need them, their efficiency will be in waiting until when you need them again. But when you want your follower to be permanently effective, you want to reward them immediately they do something right. Whether it is just a verbal thank you or a monetary payment or a recognition or, as a matter of fact, some privileges or benefits. Now, what also matters? Now, you must principally note, as it were, that reward, as I've mentioned, is not supposed to be emotionally administered but strategically administered. Now, if somebody does something and you are a leader and you are very excited about what the person has done, that excitement may sponsor an emotional administration of reward. Now, what do I mean by this? Somebody does something right and you say, I will give you 1 million naira. The question is In this emotional outburst, have you considered whether you have the ability to grant the promise that you've just made? Now, most of the times, great leaders have lost their greatness because of over-promising in moments of emotion. They have genuine intentions actually to appreciate their workers, but they do so emotionally. You must be strategic. You must determine that you have the capacity to honor your promise. You must determine that what you are about to give is actually something you can give out and the organization will still remain intact. Now, finally, on being strategic and not emotional is that you must remember the why. You must always ask yourself the why question. Why am I giving this person this particular reward? Why am I not just saying thank you? Why am I not just giving him money? Why am I promoting him? Because when you ask the why question, you bring the goal in view and it will help you to determine what to say, what not to say, what to give and what not to give. Sometimes when you effectively ask the why question, you will realize that you are not rewarding this person just for what he has done, but because you have a crush on the person. Now, leaders who reward by means of crush will never be fair, because somebody else will do the same thing but would attract a different reaction. And when that is noticed, what you'll be breeding in your team is unhealthy rivalry instead of productivity. So when you ask why do I want to give this person this promotion? Is it because it's very efficient? Or it's because it's from my village? Now, when you've asked these questions, it would aid your strategic administration of reward and you will not be emotional. Now, number 3 is that you should be fair and consistent. So what do I mean by fair and consistent? If you give person A 10,000 naira for doing something A, please remember that when person B does the same thing that person A did, he also deserves a similar appreciation. Do not appreciate one person so much for doing so little, and then when another person does that same little, the appreciation doesn't come so much. Now, what will happen as an effect of this is that people would begin to see you as being unfair and inconsistent. Now, when rewards are unfair and inconsistent, you would be breeding unhealthy rivalry instead of productivity and efficiency on your team. Number 4, you should be positively predictable in your administration of reward. What do I mean by this? Let it be that you are so consistent to the extent that every time your worker does a particular thing, he can already expect a thank you. Now, if the worker does that thing and comes to you and the thank you is not granted, it becomes a problem. Please be positively predictable, because when people do things because of an established culture of reward and they now show up and that established culture of reward is not repeated or replicated in their own case, it becomes a problem as they suddenly realize, as I earlier mentioned, that you are either inconsistent or you are unfair. And now finally, you must always have the goal in mind. Leadership is a goal-oriented activity. Everything a leader does is for a particular purpose. When a leader gives money to a particular follower, or a worker or an employee gives some kind of reward or gives a promotion or whatever to his worker or employee, it must have a purpose. Now, when the goal is not clearly defined, you'll be acting in a way that is not consistent. It is the goal that aids consistency. It is the goal that aids fairness. It is the goal that aids, positive predictability. And it is the goal that most times will determine the strategy. If the goal is to ensure that everybody on the team grows together, it would determine the strategy you use in rewarding. Now, take for instance a manager in a radio station, and there are 2 presenters who are anchoring a particular show, and one presenter actually does an excellent introduction of the show, and then your intention is that all your workers should grow together. You don't walk into the studio and simply say, excellent introduction, Bonge, and you just walk out of the studio. If you do that, you have just bruised the ego of the second presenter. Now, that would be because you do not have the goal in mind. If your goal was to grow all your workers, you will not do that. But if your goal were to grow all your workers and you have that in mind, you will be strategic. Strategic here would mean, for instance, that you could reward or appreciate Bonge when he is alone. Or that if you have to appreciate the two of them together, that you can appreciate Bonge for the excellent introduction and also find something in the second presenter to also appreciate him or her for, and then see how to encourage both of them to grow in this and that aspect. So you say, Bonge, excellent introduction, but you need to ensure that you don't use a lot of time. And then you say, Martha, thank you for being time conscious, but you need to work on your vocabulary so that your introduction can also be as perfect. Now that talks about balance. And when you've done all of this, you can be sure that your reward system and your effective administration of reward is going to motivate your team, and that will in the end guarantee team efficiency and enhance productivity. Thank you very much for joining us on today's edition of our class. For more on this, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and also visit our website on www.moreleadershipacademy.com.ng. Thank you.